I always knew there wasn't an aha moment when you got to quit. I always knew I needed to.
Yeah.
I just couldn't come up with the willpower for it. That was one of the things about your series of lessons that taught me how to retrain my brain. Because like you said in your lessons, you train your brain to smoke. Now I'm training my brain not to smoke.
This is Nasya Davos, and welcome to this episode of Ask an Ex. Every Ask an Ex episode features an inspiring ex-smoker who succeeded with the CBQ method and who shares their personal experience and unique perspective on quitting smoking. The ex I have with me today joined our CBQ program and quit smoking on June 20, 2021, and he's here to tell you how he did it. Please welcome Andy Huff. Andy, huge congratulations on your success. I am so excited to hear all about your journey.
Thank you so much. It was a journey, that's for sure.
Yes, I can imagine. And it's been 2 whole years smoke-free.
Yes. And I never thought I would have done it. My wife didn't think I would have done it, but she's very proud and very supportive of me.
Yes, I know that. And your daughter as well, right?
Yep.
Take me back.
Okay.
How did you start smoking? How much did you smoke? For how long?
I smoked a pack a day for roughly 35 years, between 35 and 40 years. I started technically truly smoking when I was 19. A buddy of mine was a smoker and we would go to bars together, and it started with me bumming 1 or 2 off of him. And then next thing I know, I'm buying my own pack and going from there. But both of my parents smoked. And when I was little growing up, I would sneak a cigarette out of their packs every now and then, go out into the woods and smoke a cigarette. But it didn't happen all the time. It just happened every now and then. My mother actually quit when she was 40 years old. And my father didn't quit until his mid-60s. And basically he had to have an open heart surgery, bypass surgery, and that is what enabled him to finally quit.
Yeah. But they both quit. That's amazing.
Yep. Eventually. My father passed that same year, 2021, that I quit.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
That's okay. I mean, he was 86 years old. He lived a long, wonderful life. And, even though he smoked almost his entire life, it didn't stop him, or he didn't, die because of that.
Yes.
But at the same time, smoking probably was a big part of his heart disease.
Yes, I can imagine. But good for him that regardless he quit, he regained his freedom.
Yep.
That is a huge achievement. And you quit smoking and then you lost your dad?
Well, no, actually right at the same time.
Right at the same time.
Or right when I was starting your programs when we lost him.
Okay. Because I would think this did contribute with emotions and
turbulence. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That was part of it. I always knew there wasn't an aha moment when you got to quit. I always knew I needed to.
Yeah.
I just couldn't come up with the willpower for it. That was one of the things about your series of lessons that taught me how to retrain my brain. Because like you said in your lessons, you train your brain to smoke. Now I'm training my brain not to smoke. And so that was a big part of it. Like I said, I just stumbled across your series through the internet because I just typed Google stop smoking.
Yeah.
And when I found your link, and then like I said, I watched your webinar, and that sold me. I said, I got to try this. And I joined in January of 2021, but I didn't stop till Father's Day. So I did your program all those months. And I also mentioned how you had the 10-day versus the 12-day. I did both sets of programs going through them. And the lessons that you teach are what enabled me to do that. I tried the patch, I tried the gum, I tried lozenges, nicotine lozenges. I even tried vaping a little bit to try to get away from it, but nothing worked over the years. That craving and that detoxification, if you want to call it that, where you want it so bad.
Yeah.
Just had me wrapped around its finger. And until I started doing your exercises, I really wasn't having any success whatsoever. I even went on Wellbutrin, which is a drug that's kind of like Chantix to try to help people stop smoking. And that helped me cut. I went from a pack a day to about half a pack a day for the last couple of years that I was smoking. But I couldn't get past that, not having a few every day. And, I could stretch them out. I would go 2-3 hours without a cigarette, but I would have to have one eventually. Like I said, the program itself helped me overcome my fears, gave me some tools. I loved the ginger root tea. I drank a lot of ginger root tea to try to help with the cravings. And then the thing that worked the best for me was a substitution. You talked about substituting something for a cigarette, and the thing that I worked with and worked the best for me was cinnamon discs, little candies.
So what exactly did you do?
Well, I would, instead of having a cigarette, I'd have a cinnamon disc, and they're strong enough that they stimulate the mouth too. So you get an oral gratification out of them. And then, of course, the other thing was exercising, just getting up and walking around the building or something like that, just to try to walk it off.
And for you, in your experience, how did you experience using willpower differently from using mind power?
Well, I would say I had to change the willpower into mind power because my willpower wasn't working before. And changing it to mind power, where I don't know, it's hard to explain. Going through your progress gave me confidence, and confidence that I never had before, that I could actually accomplish this. Once I gained that confidence, and then once I finally set the date, and I picked Father's Day for a reason, that's a big day in any father's life. And so I kept saying, oh, it's going to be this day. Oh, it's going to be this day. Oh, it's going to be this day. And I kept pushing it off. And then I finally said, okay, no, Father's Day is the last day. And that Monday, it was a Sunday. So I smoked on Father's Day, but that Monday morning I got up and I didn't have another cigarette.
That's awesome. So you following all the steps, committing, having that vision that I want to quit smoking on that day, putting the work before, and gradually gaining the confidence in yourself, right, is what helped you the most.
Yeah. So I would say to all the people out there, don't feel like you have to do it in 10 days or 12 days or whatever. Do it at your own pace, but just do it.
Yes.
Just commit yourself that you're going to make this happen and just do it.
I love this. Is great advice. This is great advice, because it's very easy to think in all or nothing terms. It's either going to be in 10 days or it failed. But
that's one of the things you say at the beginning of your lessons is this isn't going to be the same for every person, and that you don't have to do this in 10 days. If you take 20 days, you take 20 days. It's just to accomplish this goal. Because, well, to give you an example of how much it's helped me, I was at the point where I was very early stages of COPD. I was using an inhaler from time to time to open up my lung areas. After I quit, I have not touched that inhaler ever again. Exactly. So, I mean, it's physically, it made a humongous difference in my life.
Wow, that's incredibly inspiring.
Yes. And I've had 2 physicals since then with my doctor, and she's always, because I was a smoker, she always schedules a CT scan of my chest and my lungs, and they're coming back negative and everything's cool. So I feel like I dodged a bullet, so to speak.
Yes, it's a great success, and it's also great you already have this feedback that your health is improving, and you're doing well, because when people get diagnosed with early stages of COPD, this can create negative emotions and
Sure.
feel that it's downhill from there. But no, actually, there are many things you can do. You can stop using the inhaler. This is fantastic. I was so happy to hear that.
Yes. No, I it's so funny because it's literally, I used it 2 or 3 times a week just to keep my lungs open and breathing.
Yeah.
But literally that Monday that I stopped, I didn't touch it, and I never touched it again.
Okay. It's been 2 years.
2 years.
That's wonderful. And
Yes.
Andy, one of the things you said once in the group is, I think you were commenting to support someone else, and you
Sure.
said, I was smoking for 35 years, but probably the last two have been the best. So how else did your life change apart from
Well,
obviously the physical? That's incredible.
a lot, to be honest with you. I mean, obviously everybody was very proud of me. Saved a bunch of money because I'm not buying cigarettes anymore.
Yes.
But in general, it's just my health has just been better physically, and that makes your mental health better because well, my lungs are now healing themselves instead of me, hurting them more.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Uh,
but mentally, I never thought I'd had that strength. I will say to anybody out there that's going through your program, if I could do it, you can do it. I mean, there was no one who had more self-doubt that they could do it than me. And that's why it took as long as it did. But stick with the program, follow the lessons, and you'll find out that you'll come out on the other side a lot better.
Good. And Andy, what is something you believed about smoking most of your life, but this changed as a result of doing this program and going through this process?
I would say the biggest thing is my whole life was spent around where the next cigarette was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So you're always worried about, if you're going to go on an airplane or if you're going to do this or you're going to do that. Oh, can I go that long? It basically, they rule your life, and you've got to, I have my life back now because I don't worry about it. And my wife commented this on our last vacation, and she's like, it's so much easier to travel with you now because you're not getting off a plane trying to find the smoking room or going outside to get a cigarette because you're so craving it so much, jonesing on it. So our vacations are more fun for her because it's not built around where I'm going to get my next cigarette.
I see. And are they more fun for you as well? Because I wanted to ask you as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I said, oh, you're freezing. Yeah. It doesn't rule my life anymore. I'm not getting up. Oh, when am I going to have my first cigarette? Oh, I'm going to have one before I go to bed. All the, after every single meal. Just all, a little bit of stress. Dang, I got to have a cigarette. Just those kinds of things are gone now. And so because of that, there's less stress in my life.
Which is incredible all by itself.
Yes. Yep.
Great. And Andy, I know you had mentioned that on your first year, when you were celebrating 1 year smoke-free, yeah, your family gave you a gift.
They gave me a t-shirt. It was a t-shirt, and it said 1 year smoke-free. They were, and that was their way of showing me how proud they were of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, of course, because they were both your daughter and your wife, they were asking you to quit smoking.
Oh yeah. Well, my wife wanted me to from the time we got together 30 years ago.
Wow.
But she put up with it until, and then of course she just always encouraged it. Every few months she would say, hey, you need to quit. Hey, you need to quit. And I said, I know. But I just never did anything about it. until I came across your program.
That's incredible. And
And that's why I still follow it on Facebook and Instagram. I try to every now and then come in and try to give people a little incentive, or not necessarily incentive, but just support, and say, you know, hey, if I could do it, you can do it.
what did quitting smoking teach you?
That I can pretty much accomplish anything. That if I put my mind to it, I can pretty much do anything.
Great life lesson.
Oh, absolutely. Trying to think of other things. There was the other one where you talked about doing jumping jacks or something like that. Just get up out of your chair and do some jumping jacks and
Yeah,
things
move your
like
body.
that. Just to refocus. That's the hardest part. It's refocusing your mind away from.
Mm-hmm. And was this whole thing easier or harder than you expected?
Oh, I don't know. I don't want to, it definitely wasn't easier. Because like I said, it's one of the hardest things I've done in my life. But you made it easy, if that makes any sense. Trying to do it on my own with gum and patches and things like that, I couldn't do it. It was your lessons that allowed me to put together the willpower and mind power to do it.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
It means a lot, and thank you for explaining as well what was different with your past quit attempts, what allowed you to succeed this time, because many of us, we have tried the gums, the patches, Champix, everything, but unless the mind changes, nothing
Right.
else will. So
Well, and that's what you taught me, is I had to retrain my mind.
yes. So what?
And it was that approach that actually made me successful.
Yeah. So on that, what advice would you have for someone who thinks about quitting smoking all the time, but they are afraid and worried to take the step and start the quit smoking process?
I would say that pretty much everybody who stops smoking is afraid and scared and excuse me, and doubts themselves whether they can make it happen or not. What I will say is that if I can do it, anybody can do it. But if you really do all the steps and really set your mind to it, you can quit.
That's it. Do all the steps. So if you can do it, they can do it too, and do
Absolutely.
all the steps.
Yep.
Awesome. That's wonderful advice, Andy. Thank you so much for
You're absolutely welcome.
sharing your journey. Yeah, and
yes. Go ahead.
I want to say that your commitment and your example will inspire many others to succeed as well, and this is a fantastic thing.
Excellent. How will I see the video? Will it be on Facebook, or what? Or will you send me a copy of it?
Of course, I will add it. I will put it on YouTube.
Okay.
And when it's up, I will email you with the link so you can watch it as
Perfect.
well. I will let you know.
Yeah, because I would like to show it off to my wife.
Of course. Is there anything in the closing you would like to say for your family? I know your family was a big part of your continuous support and success.
Oh, absolutely. You need to have a good support system to go through something like this, and that helps. But even if you don't, as long as you're committed, you can make it happen.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing that. For
Sure.
everyone watching this video, leave a comment below and let Andy and I know what you're taking away from his journey that can help you in yours. We're looking forward to reading your comments. Thank you all for being here. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you, Nasia.